What's the number one thing holding you back from achieving everything you've ever dreamed of? Is it money? Is it a lack of time? Maybe you think you're not smart enough, not talented enough, or simply not lucky enough. Pause for a moment. Think about it. Now let me tell you something you might not want to hear. The truth is, it's not the lack of resources, talent, or connections that's stopping you. It's something far simpler, yet far more dangerous. It's the excuses you've allowed to creep into your mind and run your life. Let me share a story, a moment of clarity from my own life. For years I told myself, I don't have the time to chase my dreams. It was my go-to excuse. Every time I thought about starting something new, whether it was a project, a fitness routine, or even a side hustle, I would quickly convince myself that my schedule was too packed. I'd tell myself, I'm too busy. I'll start tomorrow when things calm down. But tomorrow would come, and the same excuse would play on repeat. I believed it wholeheartedly. I'd look at successful people and think, they must have more hours in their day than I do. There's no way I can keep up. It felt real, logical even. But one day, I had an uncomfortable realization that changed everything. I was scrolling through social media, wasting an hour mindlessly, when I saw a post that hit me hard. It said, "You don't lack time, you lack discipline." At first I dismissed it, justifying my excuses again. No, that's not true. I'm genuinely busy. But deep down, something clicked. I couldn't deny it any longer. I wasn't lacking time. I was lacking accountability. The truth was staring me in the face. I had time for what I prioritized. I had time to watch Netflix, time to scroll on my phone, time to sit and complain about how life wasn't fair. Yet I wasn't making time for my dreams, my goals, or my future. I started asking myself hard questions. What was stopping me from waking up 30 minutes earlier? What was stopping me from cutting out just one episode of a show each night and using that time to build something meaningful? What was stopping me from taking even one small step toward my goals? And the answer was uncomfortable. It was me. My excuses weren't reasons. They were justifications to stay comfortable, to avoid the hard work. Excuses are sneaky like that. They wrap themselves in logic, making us feel like we're doing the best we can under the circumstances. But in reality, excuses are lies we tell ourselves to justify staying in our comfort zones. They're fear in disguise, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of change. That realization hit me like a ton of bricks. I understood that if I wanted to change my life, I had to stop hiding behind my excuses. I had to kill them one by one and replace them with action. And you know what? The moment I stopped making excuses, my life began to shift. It wasn't overnight. It wasn't easy, but it was worth it. And I'm here to tell you that the same is possible for you. So let me ask you again, what's the number one thing holding you back? Be honest with yourself. Because chances are, it's not something outside of you. It's not the circumstances, the people, or the lack of opportunities. It's the excuses you've been holding on to. And today, we're going to let them go. This is your wake-up call. No more excuses. It's time to take control of your life. It's time to kill the excuses that have been holding you back and replace them with the mindset, discipline, and action you need to succeed. Let's do this together. Part 1. The nature of excuses. Excuses are everywhere. They're the little stories we tell ourselves to feel better about not doing what we know we need to do. I'm too tired. I don't have enough time. I'm not skilled enough. Sound familiar? These phrases have become so deeply embedded in our minds that we hardly recognize them for what they are. Barriers we create to protect ourselves from discomfort. Let's break it down. What exactly is an excuse? An excuse is not a fact. It's not a valid reason for inaction. Instead, it's a self-imposed narrative that helps us avoid the hard truth, that we are afraid of stepping outside our comfort zones. Excuses are like soft blankets on a cold morning. They make it easier to stay cozy, to stay where we are. rather than face the chill of responsibility and change. But here's the thing. Excuses, no matter how comforting they feel, are dangerous. We all have them. We've all said, "I'm too busy," when we know we could have made time. Or, "I'll start tomorrow," as though tomorrow holds some magical power to fix our procrastination. The reality is, excuses are nothing more than lies we tell ourselves, dressed up in logic. And the worst part? They hold us hostage in the same place we've always been, robbing us of growth, progress, and success. Think about some of the most common excuses we use. "I'm too tired." We say this when we don't feel like putting in the effort, but tiredness is often a matter of priorities. We have energy for what we care about. For example, you might feel too tired to exercise after work, but suddenly you're wide awake when your favorite TV show comes on. "I don't have enough time." This one is perhaps the most overused excuse of all. Yet we all have the same 24 hours in a day. Look closely at how you're spending your time. You probably have more hours than you realize. Hours that get eaten up by social media, TV, or other distractions. "I'm not skilled enough." This excuse convinces us to stay where we are, afraid to fail. But no one starts as an expert. Every master was once a beginner. Skills are learned through action, not excuses. Now let me share a story about someone who killed their excuses. Meet Sarah. Sarah had a dream of starting her own business, but for years she made excuses. "I don't have the time. I have a full-time job, and by the time I get home, I'm exhausted." This was her reality, until one day she decided she was done with excuses. Sarah started small. She set her alarm for 4 a.m. every morning to work on her business before her 9-to-5 job. At first it was brutal. She was tired, and her mind fought against her new routine. But she pushed through. Day by day she built her business. A year later she quit her full-time job to focus on her dream full-time. Today she's running a successful company, all because she refused to let her excuses win. What's the key takeaway from Sarah's story? Excuses don't define you unless you let them. You can kill them with discipline, focus, and determination. Excuses are lies wrapped in comfort. They make us feel safe, but safety doesn't lead to success. Success lives outside your comfort zone, and the only way to reach it is by tearing down the excuses you've built around yourself. So the next time you catch yourself saying, "I don't have time," or "I'm too tired," ask yourself, is this true, or is this just an excuse? The moment you start questioning your excuses is the moment you start taking control of your life. Part 2. Why excuses are dangerous. Excuses may seem harmless, but they are far more dangerous than we realize. They have a sneaky way of creating a false sense of security, convincing us that it's okay to stay where we are. At first glance, they feel like shields protecting us from discomfort or failure. But in reality, excuses are walls that trap us, keeping us from reaching our true potential. Let's start with how excuses create a false sense of security. When we make excuses, we give ourselves permission to avoid taking risks. "I'm not ready yet," or "I'll start when the timing is right," might sound reasonable. But these statements are just masks for fear. They allow us to feel comfortable, to feel safe. But safety doesn't lead to growth. Safety keeps us stuck in the same spot while opportunities pass us by. Excuses are particularly dangerous because they chip away at something even more critical: our self-esteem. Every time you make an excuse, you send a subtle message to yourself: "I'm not capable." When you say, "I can't do this because I'm not skilled enough," or "I'll fail if I try," you reinforce a belief that you're not good enough. Over time, this constant cycle of excuses erodes your confidence. Think about it. When was the last time you made an excuse and felt genuinely proud of yourself afterward? Probably never. Excuses don't build pride, they create regret. And regret is a heavy weight to carry. The impact of excuses on your mental well-being is well documented. Studies have shown that people who frequently procrastinate and rely on excuses report lower satisfaction in life. Procrastination fueled by excuses creates a cycle of stress and guilt. You know you should act, but you don't. Then, you feel bad about not acting, which leads to even more excuses. It's a downward spiral that keeps you stuck in a loop of frustration. One shocking statistic highlights this point. According to a survey, nearly 75% of people admit that procrastination, often caused by excuses, has negatively affected their personal or professional goals. Imagine how many dreams are left unfulfilled, how many opportunities are missed, all because of excuses. Here's the hard truth. Excuses don't just delay your success, they steal it. They rob you of opportunities before you even get the chance to try. You might tell yourself, I'll apply for that job next time, or I'll start my fitness journey when I feel more motivated. But life doesn't wait. While you're making excuses, someone else is taking action. Someone else is stepping outside their comfort zone, claiming the opportunities that could have been yours. Excuses are dangerous because they deceive you into believing there will always be a better time. But the reality is, there is no perfect time. The perfect time is the moment you decide to act. Here's a simple but powerful thought. Every excuse you make is a decision to stay the same. It's a choice to let fear or doubt dictate your future. But here's the good news. Just as you can choose to make excuses, you can also choose to stop. You can decide, right now, that excuses will no longer have power over you. Excuses are comfortable, but they're costly. They cost you time, confidence, and opportunities. They keep you small when you were meant to be extraordinary. So, the next time an excuse pops into your head, ask yourself, is this helping me grow or is it keeping me stuck? Remember, the life you want is on the other side of your excuses. It's time to break free. It's time to kill your excuses before they kill your potential. Part 3. How to kill your excuses. Excuses may feel powerful, but the good news is that they're not invincible. You have the power to dismantle them one step at a time. Killing your excuses isn't about perfection. It's about building habits and a mindset that prioritizes action over fear and doubt. Here's how you can start eliminating excuses from your life for good. 1. Awareness. The first step to killing your excuses is recognizing them. Most of the time, we don't even realize when we're making excuses because they feel so natural. That's why you need to slow down and pay attention to your thought patterns. Ask yourself, what's the most common excuse I use to avoid taking action? Write it down. Be honest with yourself. For example, you might write, I can't start a business because I have no money, or I can't get in shape because I don't have time. Seeing your excuse in writing makes it real. It's no longer a vague idea floating in your head. Once you've identified your excuse, take it one step further. Ask yourself, what's really stopping me? Often, the excuse you identify is just a surface-level explanation for something deeper, like fear of failure or a lack of confidence. Awareness is the key to addressing the root cause. 2. Challenge the excuse. Now that you've identified your excuse, it's time to challenge it. Ask yourself, is this excuse based on truth, or is it just a story I've created to justify inaction? Most of the time, you'll realize that your excuse doesn't hold up under scrutiny. Let's go back to the example. I can't start a business because I have no money. Is that really true? Or is it just an obstacle you're allowing to stop you? Challenge this excuse with logic. No money? Start small. Many successful businesses began with little or no capital. Use free tools, learn skills online, and build slowly. Too busy? Analyze your schedule. You might find wasted time that could be repurposed for your goals. By reframing your excuse as a challenge to overcome, you take away its power to control you. 3. Take responsibility. One of the hardest but most empowering steps is to take full responsibility for your life. Stop blaming external factors like your circumstances, lack of resources, or other people. While some obstacles are real, it's your response to them that determines your success. Taking responsibility means saying, this is my life, and I own it, flaws, challenges, and all. When you take ownership, you stop relying on excuses to justify inaction. Responsibility is empowering because it puts the control back in your hands. Remember this quote: excuses are the nails used to build a house of failure. Don't let your excuses build a life you don't want. Or action over words. Excuses thrive on overthinking and overanalyzing. The best way to destroy an excuse is to take action. Any action, no matter how small. Even a tiny step forward weakens the power of excuses because action builds momentum. For example, if your excuse is, "I don't have time," wake up 30 minutes earlier or cut out one Netflix episode. Use that time for your goals. If your excuse is, "I don't know enough," commit to learning one new skill or concept every day. The key is consistency. Small, consistent actions add up over time, and they're far more effective than waiting for the perfect moment to start. Action sends a clear message to your brain. Excuses are no longer in charge. 5. Accountability. Accountability is one of the most powerful tools for killing excuses. When you tell someone your goal and ask them to hold you accountable, it creates external pressure to follow through. You're no longer just answering to yourself. You're answerable to someone else. Here's how you can use accountability effectively. Share your goal with a trusted friend, mentor, or coach. Set specific deadlines and ask them to check in on your progress. Celebrate wins together, but also allow them to call you out if you're slacking. Accountability works because it removes the option to hide behind excuses. When someone else is invested in your success, you're less likely to let them or yourself down. Final thoughts. Excuses may feel comfortable, but they're holding you back from the life you deserve. By becoming aware of your excuses, challenging them, taking responsibility, committing to action, and holding yourself accountable, you can break free from their grip. Remember, every excuse you eliminate brings you one step closer to your goals. It's time to take charge, kill your excuses, and create the life you've always wanted. No one else can do it for you. It starts with you. Conclusion. Excuses are comfortable, aren't they? They give us an easy way out, a way to avoid discomfort, risk, and the fear of failure. But let's be honest, they are deadly. Every excuse you make pulls you further away from the life you want, the goals you've set, and the person you're meant to become. Excuses rob you of time, energy, and potential. They keep you stagnant while life keeps moving forward. Throughout this journey, we've explored what excuses are, why they're dangerous, and most importantly, how to eliminate them. Awareness is the first step. Understanding the stories you tell yourself and identifying the excuses that have been holding you back. Next comes responsibility, owning your choices, your circumstances, and your life, instead of blaming external factors. And finally, the most crucial step is action, because nothing changes until you take that first step, no matter how small it might seem. Now, let me challenge you. Kill just one excuse today. Just one. Think about the excuse you make most often, the one that holds you back from starting your business, getting healthy, improving your relationships, or chasing your dreams. Write it down, acknowledge it, then replace it with one small, specific action. For example, if your excuse is, "I don't have time," your action could be setting your alarm 30 minutes earlier tomorrow to work on your goal. If your excuse is, "I'm not skilled enough," your action could be spending 15 minutes today watching a tutorial or reading a guide. It doesn't have to be huge or life-changing, it just has to be something. Because here's the truth. Progress doesn't come from giant leaps. It comes from small, consistent steps forward. And every action you take weakens the grip of your excuses. As we wrap up, remember this. Excuses are easy. Success is earned. The life you want, the dreams you have, and the goals you're chasing, they all require effort, persistence, and a willingness to step outside your comfort zone. It's not supposed to be easy, but it will always be worth it. So, which will you choose today? The comfort of your excuses or the growth that comes with action? The choice is yours and your future is waiting. Don't let excuses hold you back any longer. The time to start is now.